First story. It's been a month since my fiancée cousin told me she cheated on me with him. Before I found out, I never thought in a million years she'd cheat on me. But of course now I see everything in a completely different light. We were long distance for the first 3 years, and she told me a guy literally asked if she wanted to have sex and she said she had a fiancé. Now I know this is her fetish. So I always thought I could trust her 100%. So my fiancé of 12 years told me that the first time she had sex with her cousin and his girlfriend was in June 2019, when she went to visit him in Mexico. I went back through our messages during that time and she told me several nights she fell asleep in his bed. Of course I thought nothing of it 'cause they're cousins. She told me that she's found him attractive since she was 14. His parents and other relatives married cousins too. She told me that he kissed her when she was 14 and he was 20. A peck, and that was it. This was in 2010. In November last year she traveled to overseas for work, and she had $500 flight credit. She invited him there. I was pissed at the time 'cause she could have used that money for me and our son in the future. So I asked her if anything happened then. She claimed they haven't have sex and she said they tried fucking twice but he couldn't get hard. Then he only fingering her and she did gave him blowjob. But she claims she didn't plan to have sex, they just caught on the moment. I said bullshit, what the duck did you think would happen inviting him? 3 days after I found these things out, she was out with her cousin and raced home suddenly. She said she was shaking so bad she had to pull over so her cousin could drive. She came home and told me that she suddenly remembered that the real first time was on January 1st, 2019. 2 days after our son's birthday party. I had gone with my son and my mom back to our hometown. The worst part was that it was in our fucking bed. She also said that after his trip to Mexico, she invited him over shortly after and he stayed the weekend at our house. I was out of the country with my mom and my son. She claimed to have felt disgusting after having sex with him, yet she continued to do it. Is it actually possibly that she suddenly remembered having sex with him in our bed, or had she just been hiding it? She texted him that same morning saying she was going to duck him on next trip. She told her sister she always loved his romantic personality. The last time that he was drinking like crazy so they can't done the deed. She never realized I still monitoring her activities. She told me shortly after her Mexico trip in 2019 that she stopped talking to him. The reason they started talking again last year was because he was here for their uncle's funeral. Yet she told me on DDAY1 that she loved both of us. But she loved her cousin more because they had a history, and if I want to be her one I need to do more attention to her. How the duck do you love someone who you didn't talk to for 4 years, when she has 12 years of history with me? I asked if she's been waiting for her cousin to be old enough, and to have the opportunity to fuck him all these years while building a life with me, and she said no. I realized she had sex with him 9 years after our first kiss. And every single time they've had an opportunity to be alone they've had sex. Was this inevitable and am I just that fucking unlucky? Did he groom her? When first time I kissed her, she told me someone even older than me kissed her when she was even younger. So who knows what the duck happened to her to make her this fucked up. That's so hard to come to terms with, that our entire relationship was a lie. She moved out last week and it was heartbreaking to see my son cry, asking if I could let her move back in. I realized she has no remorse whatsoever for cheating, and she continues to hurt me and even my mom. Were all the happy and loving times I had with her fake? I truly felt that she loved and cared for me, most of the time. It actually wasn't in the beginning, and I hysterically bonded with her. I did go back and forth about staying, but now I know I can't. I sometimes still miss the good times we had though. It's a mindfuck. After she moved out, she quickly realized she can have more than one partner on the same time when she told me she loved both of us. And now she got 2 more boyfriend from the pub and several gym buddies. I told a lot of her family and friends, and she told me I was destructive and told everyone our business. She said if it was me who had cheated, she would have forgiven me and wouldn't have told anyone. I love, bless her little heart. Yep, this is her true self. She continues to hurt me and be cruel to me, threatening to get full custody when I asked her for proof of her income. I really wish I could tell her co-workers and friends all the shitty details. She told me that they all support her. On my childhood, my parents had the worst fights, yelling and screaming and getting physical. So I know I'd never fight in front of our son. When my ex still lived here, I just said as little as possible to her, but I wouldn't say bye when I left the house. I can fake it for my son, but I know it will kill me slowly. It'd most likely be silence-filled tension most of the time. She told me it was only her cousin, and that she had a sick attraction to him because he was her cousin. Now that she still can't see how sick she really is, she hates me, not paid her enough attention, and will find another lover again. But I realize that she is actually just as sick and mentally disturbed as her. She claims she can never cheat again because she can't go through this pain again, or put me or anyone else through this pain again. The most I would do is live together for our son but not be in a relationship. I'm in therapy and looking to get my son therapy. Last year my son told me out of the blue that when my ex told me they were going to see a male friend, they actually went to see her gym buddy. She told my son to keep it a secret, but my son told me 2 months later. I was pissed, and of course now I'm worried she's going to influence my son even more negatively, because our son had a sleepover with her. When I first found out, I told her I'd feel just a little better if it wasn't her cousin, and she said really that means she doesn't understand how sick she is, right? She kept looking for another backup in her life because of pub guys and gym buddies. I should add that her parents are cousins, and other relatives of theirs have married cousins. Yeah, I couldn't believe what she was saying. This is the real her. She also said I didn't mean to cause you so much pain. What the duck? I realized she thinks I was just having a bit of fun. Why can't you just forgive me and we stay together? Second story. My first real love ended in my first real heartbreak. As with most stories of this type, there's endless backstory and context that could be provided, but I'll do my best to keep it concise. I, 25M, had been in a long-distance relationship with my girlfriend, 23F, for over 2.5 years. We had traveled to meet each other several times. Several months ago, I started experiencing negative health effects relating to stress. I worked through them and they worsened until June 2024. Arrived and it hit its apex, culminating essentially in a nervous breakdown. I would come to an agreement with my employer that would give me a prolonged period of medical leave, for which I was grateful. However, I found myself clinically needing to reduce sources of stress in my life. This is where the issue began with my GF. I had long been used for her as the dumping ground for all of her issues. She struggled with many mental illnesses of her own, for which I do not judge her, but the emotional weight of both of our issues fell on me alone to carry. This almost certainly contributed significantly to the breakdown in the first place. I realized that this would be unsustainable if I wished to recover, so I asked her to pursue therapy going forward, which she would do. So things were looking up. I was getting the break I needed and progress was slowly being made. My GF was seemingly going from strength to strength. She was going out more, socializing, meeting new people, making friends. However, despite things seeming good, she would have complaints for me that I wasn't being there enough for her emotionally, which was medically inadvisable for me, and that I wasn't putting out enough. Low libido is one of the main symptoms of my illness, but still I was happy for her. The problems are easier to see now in hindsight than they were back then. She started talking about wanting to explore new things. She had just come to terms with the fact she was bisexual and wanted to take this new sexuality for a test drive. So she asked to open up the relationship. I said if we're both allowed women that's fine, but no men. She said I wasn't allowed women, only she could. I could see the imbalance, but being sick and just wanting her off my case, I relented. Then enters the home wrecker HW. HW met GF on a subreddit for people looking for friends. He lived nearby, so seemed like a good candidate for a bud. I never trusted HW. His actions were always suspicious. The first week they tried to meet up, he canceled last second. The second week was okay, they went to the cinema. The third week was when the collapse happened. HW came over to GF's home. He got too stoned to drive and stayed late despite having a busted headlight. He asked if he could stay the night with GF. Given the limited options in her rental place, this would entail them sleeping in the same room, with him on an air mattress and her on the floor. I made it clear in no uncertain terms that I considered it a huge violation of boundaries, and after some upset and back and forth, HW left to stay at a hotel. A week later, GF would break up with me, citing my selfishness and my actions during the third visit as primary reasons. 3 days later, she would sleep with HW. The following day she attempted to sleep with a mutual friend but was rebuked. I would only learn of this from mutual friends later. Seemingly understanding how horrendous her actions were and wanting to insulate herself from backlash, GF would start slandering me to all our mutual friends' acquaintances, accusing me of being a narcissistic manipulator. With no evidence to support these claims but plenty of evidence of her being caught red-handed, they all sided with me. However, she had this little insular group of supporters who, I would learn, had been encouraging her behavior from the get-go, saying that our relationship was bad and that she leave me and go explore. She retreated into this echo chamber rather than face the truth of her actions. And that brings us to today. I'm a broken mess over all of this. I supported GF for 2.5 years, through thick and thin, but the moment I needed support she tossed me aside. Not to mention the snakes in her ear feeding her bad impulses were people I had considered good friends until I learned the truth about them. She currently lives in an illusion of a world. She pretends that HW is her partner and acts as if he had been all along. She has become hypersexual and is making those around her extremely uncomfortable and slowly driving them away. She doesn't notice the damage she is doing to her life. I cry often, I hyperventilate. I barely eat because of the nausea, and without sleeping medicine, I can hardly achieve more than 1 to 2 hours of sleep per night. In addition, as I have learned more about my initial health problem, it seems exceedingly likely that it has been caused in no small part by a tumor on my pituitary gland. Tumors like that would cause the stress issues, difficulty handling emotions, and low libido. Part of the reason I get upset is because I'm a broken mess of a man at the moment, but she's out there happily living her delusions. I do believe it will crash and burn for her. The annoying part is I can't bring myself to stop caring for her well-being. So now that she's happy to walk all over my heart and our relationship, I'm in agony. But when her chickens come home to roost, her delusions crumble and she sees the state she has left her life in. I won't even be able to enjoy the schadenfreude. I'm just sad about it all. We had a good thing and she ruined it with her selfish, narcissistic greed. I missed that good thing. I'll be honest, I'm unsure what I hope to get out of making this post. It just feels good to get it out there into the world. I think part of me hopes she sees this. I know she uses Reddit, but not this subreddit. It'd help my heart a bit to know she actually had to look at the harm she has caused. Logically, I know that you're right, but it's just so hard to stop caring for someone so suddenly, even when they do something like this. We had been talking about proposals and marriages, had a life plan together. I won't take her back, even though the worst part of me wants her back. I know I have to respect myself enough to say no, but I still don't want her to get hurt. Third story. Sigh. Continued affair. Now what? She had a 4-year affair from 2017 to 2021 when I found out. Predominantly emotional, but physical when she traveled to his state for work. We worked on repair for 18 months. 2021 to 2022, and I thought we had done a lot and were in a better place than before the affair. I recognized some of the deeper hurts that still existed, and self-doubt of staying being something that I was really happy with. I proposed a very careful open marriage with a lot of communication, with the intent of more healing. The concept of being able to carefully touch trauma and have a different experience that provides healing. It was going okay, but then didn't, and resulted in her yelling and driving recklessly, where I felt unsafe. Enter separation, then another drinking and yelling violation. We had separated for this reason during his affair in 2020 to 2021, before I knew there was an affair, which resulted in me feeling like I had to move forward with divorce. Moved out and tried to date each other, and there was just always an issue, and we couldn't get to a good place. I was okay with her dating, but requested boundaries about emotional involvement and time spent so that we could still focus on our relationship. Her dating usually entailed more distance and abandonment, and typically some degree of withholding, dishonesty, manipulation, which triggered everything about her affair with me, and she didn't want to work on making it safe. The end result was more distance and me being frustrated about the distance. I retained being open to and wanting to work on our marriage, though, and limited my dating accordingly. Lots of boundaries about emotional engagement and sharing personal things, and not open to relationships. I had to move back in for financial reasons, and was more open to a relationship with my wayward again, as she had been telling me she wasn't dating, and was focused on repair with me. But there was also inconsistency around his framing. It felt manipulative and weird that she wanted me to agree that we weren't in a relationship. We were, just not a full relationship. And that we were just friends. We were not. We were re-establishing friendship as a base for building a new relationship. A few weeks into moving back in, I found out that she had been dating for months while she was out of town for work, but had not communicated anything about it with me. We mutually agreed to both stop dating and figure stuff out, considering all the chaos. I did. She didn't. She kept seeing one guy consistently for 2 more months without my knowledge. In all of that aftermath, she told me that she had not ended contact with the AP after I found out, and had been secretly emailing her from her work email until August of last year. So an additional 2.5-year emotional affair, total of 6 years. I saw the emails. Nearly everyday communication. The shit she said is incredulous, but also exactly what you'd expect from someone having a long-term affair. From her, I am an abusive monster and her cheating has all been justified. I'm the crazy one. She was so mean in what she said to her AP about our life together and me, while being mostly sweet and kind, seeking forgiveness and repair with me the whole time. It has absolutely broken my heart. She says that actually ending communication with her AP last year has been freeing for him, and that she now knows she wants to be with me. But this is the same stuff she said and did in 2021. And I also feel stuck by the financial situation and just not wanting to be divorced either. At least at this point in time. When is it too much? This has clearly reached a obviously you leave after all of that threshold, right? I want to leave and I don't, and all I can manage is staying for now and giving her a chance that I don't even know if it will make a difference after everything. I hate that I'm still open to making it work. And I hate that a part of me still wants to be together after everything. I'm convincing myself that she knows now and it will be different. But that feels so absolutely stupid at this point. How do you get to wanting to repair after all of the continued lying, both about the AP and with dating? Why would I still believe she's not that person? Fourth story. Wife left me after 6 years of marriage. My wife and I recently separated after 6 years of marriage, and it was one of the most devastating and heart-wrenching experiences of my life. As I reflect on it, I can't help but feel like I was used the entire time. We got married in 2018, and at first, life was good. My wife was in college when we married, and after she graduated, I supported her every step of the way. I helped her find a job, paid for her certifications to advance her career, and watched as she became a UX/UI designer. I was always there for her, when she cried, when she needed help, through every challenge. I even bought her a car and took her on trips, doing everything I could to make her dreams come true. But in 2023, something changed. Her attitude shifted drastically, and things started to go downhill. By January 2024, I noticed things were going missing from our home. And when I asked her about it, she brushed it off, saying she was just cleaning. Maybe I was naive, but I believed her. Our intimacy faded, and in the last few months, she stopped being physically affectionate with me altogether. One day, I invited her out for coffee, hoping to reconnect. She seemed happy, smiling as if everything was fine, and I thought things were finally improving. But after we got home and she asked me to order dinner, and after she ate she dropped a bombshell, that bitch she wanted to leave me. I was completely blindsided. The very next day, she used our health insurance to get treatment at a hospital, which I had to cancel once I found out. To make matters worse, her family reached out to me, confused and asking why she left. It's been 6 months since she walked out, and neither her family nor I have any answers. I'm left with nothing but questions and the painful realization that the person I devoted myself to for so many years is gone, without explanation. I just divorced her, and since her family were good to me, I didn't take any legal actions even though I would have won. I am honestly much better now. Went to therapy, got promoted at my job, got some gains at the gym. It is just so sad that I was treated after 6 years of investing those emotions. But fuck it. By the way, what did you mean once they've checked out it's done? I know once a woman turns off her emotions to you it's already done. They are plotting their escape and soft landing on the other side. That could mean an affair, hiding money, working out to get fit to attract a new partner, etc. I've used the Uno reverse card for this. I watch for the signs, and if she starts acting checked out at all and refuses to acknowledge it or why she's doing it, I'm out. I'm not playing those games so they can have time to plan and prepare the most beneficial to them exit. She's a bitch because she's a useless piece of shit. She knows it, so she tries to hurt everybody else instead of working on her own shit. Why would any woman care about her own issue if she has a line of people waiting for her? Dump it on them, use and abuse them. But changing and behaving really bad and aggressive while on another hand, I am trying to be nice and help her is not a good behavior as well. Smiling and ask me to order dinner before exiting without me knowing is not the most rational thing to do. All I am saying, maybe calling her a bitch not good idea, but come on man, she really was abusive with me. I'm not seeing the abuse, man. I get it. The lack of closure sucks. The fact that she waited until after you were done trying to reconnect to break the news sucks, but it's not bitchy and it's not abusive. You're angry and it's okay. But you need to learn to let it go, man. You could be in a worse position. This isn't all that bad. You're still young and you've got everything going for you still. Fifth story. Found out she cheated before we were married. So I have been married to my wife for 11 years. We met in high school, dated and decided to stay together while I went away in the Marines. I know I was 18 years old. Unknown by me at the time. While I was away she hooked up with a lot of college guys, and when I returned from boot camp everything seemed back to normal. When I left again for more training we were in contact for a while, and I did a stupid thing and asked her to marry me. I was stupid when I was 18. She said no and 2 days later she broke up with me. I was heartbroken but managed to get my head on straight before I deployed my first time. We had 2 years apart after I broke up with her. With one time I unknowingly hooked up with her on leave while she was dating another guy, which I feel terrible about now that I know. We got together after one of my deployments and dated for the rest of my career, 5 more years, and married after. I found out a few weeks ago that while we were together again, she spent the night with another guy when her friend hooked up with his friend. This struck me hard because up to this moment I never questioned her faithfulness. I began to look at her past, and that's when I found out that she cheated on me a lot more than once, and at different points of our relationship before we were married. However, I then thought about it, and she has come home at like 2 a.m. in the morning really drunk and mentioned seeing a guy in our school district who's a shady politician type with infidelity in his relationship. I would appreciate advice because I don't have anyone to talk to about this, and would appreciate anyone who's gone through similar situations. She was talking about a previous hookup she had with a guy who was a FWB. I knew about a lot of her sexual past, at least I thought I did. But she brought up a date that lined up with the time period that I know we were together. I literally met her a week later because I was on leave and about to deploy. That date gave a gut feeling which made me look into her old Facebook page to make sure she just misspoke, which wouldn't be a big deal. I checked that year and put the guy's name, and then a couple conversations came up. I took pictures on my phone and read them, and then called my little brother to look at them to see if it looked like what I was thinking. He said sorry, but yes, she definitely hooked up with that guy. I could go into more detail if anyone really thinks it's helpful.